like I'm weird on the screen, like I'm getting hit with light this way from the bottom. It's accenting my better half, which is my fat chin. Oh, look at that. We're on the air, Michael. I didn't even realize that. What's the hat say?
San Francisco Giants.
Oh, Gamorts. Oh, the Giants. It looked
It's
like
the
the
Gamorts.
Gamorts.
They're the Gamorts until they win one.
Yeah, the Giants, and they're trying to do this with the Mets too. The Giants have like one of the best logos, had one of the best logos in the world with that simple, orange baseball with the cursive GIANTS
Yeah.
that they've had, for years and years and years. And it
But they
was a
want to do a
great,
city design.
yeah. And then they had the one that they went to when they changed the uniforms. What was it, 81, 82? That had the big letter as the first letter, and the big letter as the last letter, and it was the first team to use that type of logo. Then all of a sudden, every team had it.
Then they went back to their original the New York logo,
Yeah,
which is what they have now.
The one that you have on your head right there. I mean, again, maybe you can tell if you're standing next to you, it says Giants, but it looks like the Gamortas to me. The
It's
GIMORTOS.
Optimerts.
I don't understand it, and the Mets keep wanting to do that too, mess with the lettering. And I understand modern times and you're trying to get people to buy stuff and everything like that, but don't mess with leave the city name the way it is.
There's only two teams in Major League Baseball that haven't gone to the city format: the Oakland Sacramento A's and the New York Yankees. Everybody
Yankees
else
don't have one, huh? That's good.
No.
Good. I got some respect. Well, Steinbrenner would never let him mess with those uniforms.
No.
When they wanted to do the names on the back, when they started that stuff, that every team had to have the name on the back, the Yankees still
said
didn't
no.
road. They said no. We could tell who wins.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
we know who we are.
We'll catch up. And they never did it.
Yeah.
And it always makes me laugh when I see these Jamoros, that go to Yankee Stadium and they got the fancy jersey on, and they paid all this money for this jersey, and on the back they have number 3, and over it in leathers they have Ruth.
Like you didn't know.
It's like you spent $400 for that jersey, you Nimrod. And you don't realize that the Yankees never wore a name on the back of their jersey. They wouldn't. Steinbrenner wouldn't allow it. It was one of the things I respected about the Yankees.
Tradition above all else. Our uniforms are designed by Tiffany. We don't need your help.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, it is, if you think about it. While I adore the Mets uniform. But the Yankees is the most recognized sports uniform in the world.
Hey, Soto hit some home runs. He finally broke these Schneid.
Yes, he hit two in the game, which he had hit a couple on the road, but nothing at home. Then all of a sudden he hits 2 in a game on the road. Listen, The expectation on this guy is unbelievable. Every time he swings the bat, there's 9,000 people that want to analyze it 9,000 different ways.
Look at his upswing. Look at his downswing. Look at the speed of the bat. Look at this.
Yeah, and the reality is everybody has a suck day. Everybody has a good day. Paying somebody $700 and something million to play baseball doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have a great time and hit in every situation that they get up there in.
No way.
It's impossible. It doesn't happen.
Ask Roger Maris about that.
Yeah, you put his numbers up against anybody's numbers at that age or anybody's numbers of that class of player, and he pretty much beats them all out. And the excitement around the stadium is unbelievable. When you hear the excitement, I'm not there, but just hearing it on the broadcast.
ESPN was talking about that online.
Yeah,
The
people are pumped.
atmosphere. Yep. It's
Yeah,
for
I mean,
real.
people go to the ballpark and they are pumped up to see this guy. Um, I think he'll pay his money off. He's probably paid his money off in jerseys already because everybody's walking around New York City with a Soto number 22 jersey on.
I want to know how
And
much they're
also,
making on the popcorn.
they're making what they can. Then they get the guys outside with the pretzels, although they'd probably chase them away. The old pretzel guys who used to be outside selling the stale pretzels from 2 days ago, heated over there with the chestnuts.
What are you doing with the stale chestnuts? A stale pretzel. You got to have lots of mustard.
Yeah, you have a lot of. Oh, I don't know if those guys ever had mustard. I don't ever. You just used to grab it and go. It had enough rock salt on it to it's there for winter,
Open up your
and
own mind.
this way you could adjust the amount of rock salt you wanted on it. So if you wanted a lot of salt to kill the taste, the hard taste, you rubbed it, and the salt came off, and the transit authority wouldn't have to salt for the winter.
Something for the squirrels.
Well, it was something. It was a collaboration between the New York City Transit Authority and the New York City Transit Rider. Both
Were the Gemurts involved?
The Gemorts. Yeah, the
Were
Gemorts
they?
were involved. Mikey, tell me that doesn't look like the Gemorts.
It's the Gemorts. That's what it says.
Gemort. Who did you play for? I played for the Gemorts.
The Bay Area Gemorts or the LA Gemorts? Oh, well, I started in LA.
We'll
Now we're in the
smash
Bay Area.
The Gemorts. I like that name, man. I don't know if I had a minor league team. I can't say I wouldn't name them the Gemorts.
Double A. Instead of the Flying Squirrels, it'd just be the Richmond Gemorts.
Yeah, the Richmond Gemorts. Hey, Gemorts. What's that mean? Well, kind of good morning, good afternoon.
Sort of how's your brunch?
Gemorts, man. It's Gemorts.
Gemorts to you. Gemorts to all of you.
And then you could also do you could use it as an insult. Hey, Gemorts, you.
Yeah.
You could give them, I like that. The San Francisco Gemorts.
Gimortz. Gemorts.
Or it could be if you really wanted to do it right, you could call it the Emeryville Gemorts.
Well, that's where the I can't think of the name of the team. The Oakland.
Give me a sport.
Baseball. They played in Emeryville. That's where their stadium was.
Oh, the Oaks.
Thank you. The Oakland Oaks. There you go.
Yeah. The Oakland Oaks. They were on they were right with I know what was it, San
Telegraph.
Pablo Avenue?
San Pablo or Telegraph, somewhere in there.
And it was on San Pablo Avenue, if I'm not mistaken. The Emeryville, the Oakland Oaks played in Emeryville, of course.
Of course, they're the Gemorts.
They were the Gemorts. Well, now Oakland's going to build a stadium because it's Oakland. They'll build a stadium in downtown Oakland. There'll be nobody there to play in it.
No team. They got that stadium you wanted. Hey, if they wanted 14,000 seats, which is what they play in now, they could have had that for a song.
Hey, Oakland would have, if you think about it, it probably almost would have been, build a 25,000 seat stadium. Then they're going to, it's Oakland. They're not going to get more than 25,000 people in a night.
Bare bones.
But, the owners aren't going to go for that. I think their games are on like Calix or something like that again.
Calix, for those of you who don't know, is the Cal station, University of California, which will probably be cut by Donald Trump, and they won't have a station.
Well, that's interesting because with all the blustering and all the screaming about Donald Trump and and cutting NPR. I don't know how much of the budgets for these stations, a lot of these stations are come from the federal government. I mean, I would hazard to guess that, and I don't know, I haven't looked, but I would hazard to guess that much more of the federal of the television budgets, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, comes from the federal government than the radio stations. Joan Kroc.
Well, the public station I listen to here, KCSN out of Northridge, which is the 88.5, the SoCal sound. Really good format, great jocks, totally professional, no students on the air, but it receives financial help from the government to exist. And the rest of it is done by pledge night, raising money on the air.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I guess what I think they're going to lose from, and again, I think it's much, much more TV that's going to lose than radio. But again, Joan Kroc left a shitload of money to these stations.
And ketchup, too. There's ketchup to go with that money.
Yeah, and ketchup and certificates for fries. Anybody that worked at a public radio station, people don't know this, but anybody that works at a public radio station can go in and give them a coupon for a free Egg McMuffin and coffee.
Egg McMuffin.
Get yourself Egg McMuffin, get yourself a coffee. You can even sit there and read the New York Times, and they won't roust you. They won't bother you. You'll sit down, read what you want to read, and then go into the studio and do your thing. So
your public radio thing.
Yeah, and as far as I'm not saying Trump is right. Believe you me, I think he's being an asshole. But but what it's doing to me is showing me what a petty little asshole he is.
Oh, he's petty.
Because he's just we can't have public TV because it's a left wing. So what? I mean, hello, you just figured that out now. That it's that public radio stations are left and public television stations, kind of run to the left.
And where does that leave AM radio? Running far to the right.
You're probably listen. A lot of those stations will stay on the air because radio stations I'm talking about now. Television stations got a problem. I could see there where your kid's going to go to watch a new edition of Sesame Street. And there's going to be no new edition.
Just get a slate, yeah.
You're going to turn it on. It's going to be, it's going to be some star that died 30 years ago.
A rerun of Mr. Rogers.
So I don't know that it'll probably affect them. But to be honest with you, again, I think they probably have enough of a library of stuff that they could probably play all the old, just don't bring back Barney. That's the one.
Oh my God, no! I forgot about Barney.
That's the one. I mean, I'll send you $20 if you promise not to put Barney on the air.
No more purple dinosaurs.
Go to the options. Yeah, if you leave that one off the air, you got a 20 out of my wallet. I think it's. I think that's the problem, but. Again, I mean, should the government be paying for public television? Should the government be paying for public television and public radio? And
well, how many communities are they responsible for bringing them the news as a result?
Well, but what are they? Or I mean, these days now. Again, 30 years ago, yeah. 30, I would wholeheartedly agree with you. McNeil Lehrer was probably the only national news you may have gotten on a signal. All of the different programs that they bring. Wall Street Week? I think it is. I mean, I think there was a lot of programs 30 years ago.
What about Commerce Baseball? Did they cover that? Did they carry that?
Oddly enough, one of the best programs I've ever seen and participated in on baseball was on a public station on Channel 9. When they did, I don't know if you remember this. But back in the late 80s, I think it was probably 3 years in a row, maybe a little bit more. Maybe it was 4 or 5. Uh, KQED, that's the San Francisco station, did a thing called
Correct.
baseball. And they took you behind the scenes of a baseball game. And so they had it was Ron Owens, Jan Hutchins. Um, I forget who else was involved in this.
Jan Sluicer, was Jan Sluicer involved?
Who?
Jan Sluicer.
No, who's Jan Sluicer?
She was a freelance baseball reporter out of the Bay Area for years.
Susan Slusser. Susan Slusser. I don't know. She may have. Yeah, she probably was. I mean, I don't remember because I had a. They had me on. I did the music for the show, and then they had me on talking about baseball music like 3 years in a row.
Hey, great! I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was my first actual television credit, which I always enjoy. Well, my second or my first? My first. But it was a great show because it took you behind the scenes of a baseball game. So they had roving reporter. Now today you see a lot more of it, but in those days, baseball was just basically what was going on the field, and maybe a couple of fan shots here and there. But that was it. They gave you the game.
Sure.
But this show was intent on giving you the experience of the ballpark. It took you up into the scoreboard. It took you, into Bill King's booth. You could
Bill King.
Everything with Bill King, and what else? It took you all around the ballpark. It took you out with the ground crew. In the fifth inning when they did the sweep.
What about the clubhouse?
It took you in the clubhouse. Took you everywhere. It was like a 4-hour show, and it was live.
Wow.
So I have a copy. When I get my stuff out here, I have a copy of it. I'll have to make a copy of it and give it to you because you'll see a lot of people that on there.
Sure.
From the Bay Area. And like I said, I was on it, I think 3-4 years in a row they did it. And it was a great piece of giving you insight. And this was before Ken Burns baseball.
Whoa.
So this was, like I said, it was 86, 87, 88, so, those years. And it was, it was something unique, something that only like a public television station was going to give you.
I'm surprised they had the budget to do it for local programming, to get out of the studio.
I think the teams kicked in. I definitely know the Giants spent money.
You mean, what about the Gemerts?
The Gemerts, I think they were in Fresno at the time.
When you're in Fresno, it's hard to get out.
It was a nice piece of television, and again, and they did interviews with people at the ballpark, and they had, they had one segment where Ron Owens was standing next to some girl who was doing her scorecard, and it was really good because he caught the essence of why kids bring a scorecard to the ballpark, or why they sell scorecards, which is a tradition, a thing that is dying out.
Keeps you in the game.
Yeah, I was so glad the other day. They were doing an interview with some woman in the stands at Citi Field, and she had a scorecard, a scorebook with, when she went to the games, she scored every game. And I didn't even do that when I was a kid, because I used to get up and move around a lot, but I didn't do that. It was only in my later kind of years when I started paying more attention to the game instead of the girls that,
I can't believe that.
Well, anyway, it was really, it was a good people. Anyway, but those are the kinds of things that public television was able to do
that they won't be able to do.
Channel 5, KPIX was never going to give you 4 hours on a night to do a show like that.
Isn't going to give you 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't going to get anything. God say the word sports on a public television station, everybody would run. So it was.
Say Gemertz.
Yeah, they'd say, well, yeah, go cover the Gemertz. The Gemertz. Oh, man. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Holy moly.
Nominations are upon us. Nominations, these are, right? Or
these are not. These are the nominees.
So who gets elected out of the nominees? Do you have any idea what this corrupt institution has? And I only call them a corrupt institution because they are.
Among the 14 nominees, 8 are appearing on the ballot for the first time. Remarkable nominees each have erected their own musical style and attitudes. Nominee ballots will be distributed to an international voting panel composed of over 1,200 artists, historians, and music industry professionals.
You ever get a ballot?
I doubt it. Too bad. I would vote for the number 1, though. I'd vote for Bad Company. Bad Company with Paul Rogers, the great Simon Kirke on drums, Mick Ralphs, the wonderful guy who wrote Feel Like Making Love, and Boz Burrell on bass.
All right, but let me ask you,
bass, drums, and guitar.
What's the criteria? A Hall of Fame has to have a criteria, right? You have to meet certain standards, don't you?
It's pretty loose. If you got Mariah Carey and Bad Company on the same ballot, it's pretty loose criteria.
Yeah, so that's my only question about that is if I'm a Hall of Fame voter, what criteria? Like if I'm a baseball Hall of Fame voter, it's really simple. Predominant player at their position in their era
for more than 1 year.
Yeah, well, in their era. So era's got to be at least 4 or 5 years, 6 years.
Right.
And even that's a tight timeline. It would have to be kind of more like 10, 7 to 10 at least.
It's tougher though. It's tougher though for music because all you have to do is sell records. Chubby Checker sold some records, but is he a rock and roller?
Well, I would say Chubby Checker is a rock and roller. Well, see, that's the other thing. In that era, in the era that a certain artist was in, what is because it's hard to match up Eddie Cochran versus Jerry and the Peacemakers, isn't it?
Pacemakers. Jerry and the Pacemakers.
Yeah, Peacemakers. I was calling Peacemakers because the war was on.
Well, it was the Gemertz, the London Gemertz, Liverpool Gemertz.
It was always. I mean, I don't know how do you say that one is better than the other?
Well, you have to. That's why they have some 1,400 people vote. And what do you do with the problem of that ill-defined line between pop and rock? For instance, I mentioned Bad Company. The Black Crowes for the Southern Rock Group is on the list this year. Undoubtedly rockers, but are they Hall of Fame rockers? That's the question. Mariah Carey sold a lot of records, definitely a pop artist of renown. If it wasn't for her Christmas song, she probably wouldn't have any that you would remember at this time. But is she a rock and roller? Well, there's no pop Hall of Fame. So it's this or nothing for Mariah.
Yeah, and how do you put Outkast up against even the White Stripes, let's say?
Well, Outkast really only had one song that would be considered a rock and roll song. That's Hey Ya.
Yeah.
Beyond that, they did not have something that was going to be played on any kind of white station. It was an urban sound that they developed, and it was successful, and it got them going to the point where Hey Ya crossed over. But their other tunes, I would argue, are not of what you would call a rock and roll Well, it's the same distance from rock and roll as Mariah Carey is from rock and roll. And you have to be generous with your vote on that. So they'll probably both get in.
Well, I think these people actually are in, right? I think these are. Now. These are the inductees, so they've already been voted on, right? These are the people.
These are the nominees.
I'm reading the website. This is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foundation announces the 2025 inductees for music's highest honor.
Well, I'm reading it. It says nominees will be considered for 2025 induction.
Well,
I have an older list.
Wait, let me look at something here. Inductee announcement. All right, read the full 2025 induction announcement released by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foundation. Stop with these fucking pop-ups. Excuse me. Induction ceremony set for Saturday, November 8th in Los Angeles. Tonight, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foundation pulled back the curtain on its 2025 inductees.
Okay.
A powerhouse lineup of trailblazers, icons, and music legends who have shaped the ever-evolving sounds of rock and roll. This year's announcement delivered live by Ryan Seacrest. When's he getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? On tonight's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame episode of American Idol, gee, I missed that, sets the stage for an unforgettable celebration of music's highest honor. And in the performer category, Music Influence Award, Music Excellence Award, and the
Ahmet Award this year goes to Lenny Waronker.
Yeah, I don't. So these are induction. These guys are in.
So Cyndi Lauper's in, and Mana is in.
Yeah, they're in. They're inductees. They're not nominees. They're inductees.
Okay.
So it's Ben Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, Cyndi Lauper, Outkast, Soundgarden, and the White Stripes. Those are the performer category. Musical influence is Salt and Pepper. I know. I hope a lot of people in Seattle probably wouldn't vote for Salt and Pepper, especially Sonic fans. And finally, Warren Zevon, a long overdue award, I think, for Warren Zevon. Tom Bell, Nicky Hopkins, and Carol Kay in the Musical Excellence Award.
Famous bass player Carol Kay.
Yeah, maybe the best ever. Ahmet Ertegun Award is, like we said, Lenny Waronker. I don't have a lot of respect for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've been there a couple of times. I've looked. I think they got a nice collection of stuff.
But your problem is one guy.
Well, my problem is it's more than one guy. It's again, how does the fact that they don't have Neil Sedaka in the Hall of Fame, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How do you not have Neil Sedaka, who was a pioneer in rock and roll?
So it's like saying Chuck Berry's too old.
Yeah, it's like saying Mickey Mantle doesn't belong because he didn't hit 100 home runs left-handed or something. It's a stupid thing that he's not in. He clearly influenced rock and roll on so many different levels. I mean, as a singer, as a songwriter, as an arranger, as a composer.
It's a brew building solver.
I mean, he ticks every box you can find. And
he was there early, and he was there often.
Right. I mean, he went away and he came back.
On Elton John's label.
Right, on Rocket Records. He wrote one of the greatest songs about immigrants ever. He wrote the song about The Immigrant about John Lennon. Now, not that one song gets you into the Hall of Fame, but But his body of work, for him to be denied the right, and maybe he doesn't care. I never see an interview or see him say anything about it. But and many of these Hall of Fames aggravate me because they have a bunch of people who I don't really know that they know that much about music, to be honest. They buy their way onto these different boards for whatever reason, whether they give so much money or this or that. And
Same game as the Grammys.
yeah, but at least with the Grammys, you got to sell some. You have to
You got to be
sell
on every.
some.
You got to be on every jukebox in Queens.
Exactly. Where this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if they like you, you get in. If they don't like you, you don't get in. If somebody has a hard on for you for something, you don't get in.
I see Joe Cocker's not on that list. Can you believe that? Because he was
Joe
nominated.
Cocker is on the list.
Is he? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Billy
Joe
Idol?
Billy Idol is not in. Wasn't he? He didn't go in last year, huh? I remember maybe there was a controversy about him not going. I have to go back and look.
Well,
but
quite frankly, I'm not going to.
Why this year instead of 5 years ago?
They're running out of good, sensible nominees. I mean, Fish is on the list, for Christ's sake.
Now you're talking.
They don't even know. They don't even know what the song is. What song are you guys playing? Oh, that thing we do in D. Oh yeah.
I think it's again, my problem is that well, it's several, but the biggest problem is it's really, if you think about it, it's an unattainable. Hall of Fame is such a misnomer. Now you want to call it a museum, and you can go there and appreciate all of the artists and what their contributions are. That's a different story. You put everybody in. Put a plaque there for everybody who had, say, okay, we're going to put a plaque in for anybody who sold over 1 million records.
Got to go platinum and then you're in.
Or and then you have a special award for influencer or something along those lines. So the first integrated group, or the first Asian group, or the first
first group to survive their tour with the Insane Clown Posse. No, they weren't with the Insane Clown. They were in the same bus as the Insane Clown Posse.
It would be hard to survive a tour in the same country with this Insane Clown Posse. You got to admit, though, they got a bunch of dedicated fans.
They got him. Maybe as dedicated as Oasis or Soundgarden or the White Stripes. I don't know.
ICP maybe. I mean, that's so freaking weird.
Whatever it is, my advice is let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, stop drinking it and call the poison control.
You have them on speed dial.
So now that I've railed against the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I think it is a good thing that they have a place where people can go and they can research and they can look at these artists and they can go back. I mean, it's pretty easy to research rock and roll acts. I mean, there's tons of stuff, but I think it's good that there can be a place where you can take, as I did years ago, take your daughter or your son or whatever and walk them through the Rock and Roll building and say, this is really cool, and this is what I listened to, and this is what I liked, and this is what I listened to, and this is what and this is the kind of stuff. Because we have a situation now, Michael, where when we were growing up,
can't hear it on the radio.
Well, but it was also turn that shit off.
Yeah.
How many times did you get told turn that shit off? I don't want to, And now now the last 30 years, 40 years, it hasn't been like that. You listen to the same music that your kids listen to for the most part. there's more of an appreciation of music from years ago than there was. You don't have your father breathing down your neck if you're not listening to Stan Kenton or Les Brown and his band of renown. That's not music. You don't hear that as much anymore. Or turn those mop tops off. As I wear my Beatles shirt today.
Yeah, good timing. I'm wearing my Gemertz hat.
I noticed. But so I think I think in that way it's very different. That you have people who you have families that I mean, I'll put my kids' musical knowledge up against anybody.
Well,
I mean,
remember what it was like in the '50s when R&B and race records and pop and Pat Boone all collided. How are you gonna play the group? Ferranti and Teicher was on the top 40. How are you
right.
gonna play this music
Well,
together?
what
How
was
do you know?
Everybody Loves Somebody was like what, the number 6 song of the year on the WABC survey in 1964?
Dean Martin.
But again, was that good programming because it encompassed a lot of different ages of people? Or was it bad programming because we hadn't gotten down to narrowcasting yet?
It was
They
it was
couldn't
both.
music if it was good,
What
no
made it
matter
work
what.
was the presentation. I think that's what made it work. The presentation, Vinny.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I don't
I don't
think
know. I don't
people.
know how Dan Ingram sold Franti and Teicher every afternoon, but he did.
Well, it was number 22 on the survey.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. It's number 22 this week, and last week it was number 21. Listen to Cousin Brucey on Tuesday night for the all new All American survey on 77 WABC.
Dun, dun, bum, bum, bum. That was KHJ's jingle. Sorry.
On 77 WABC, Dan Ingram, go, go, go. All right, Kemasabis.
The plural of
You know,
kimosabi is kimosabis.
I wish somebody had the money to put together an over-the-air station with a bunch of jocks on it. Top four, and just on some AM station, it's not doing anything, man. Just spec it out to be WABC in 1965.
Like KGO San Francisco,
Yeah,
50,000
just
watts. Going
hire
away.
some kids that love that music, or hire some people that love that music. Bring somebody in that knows how to program it and piss away a couple of $1 million on it for a couple of years, which I think was what Gabbert was trying to do at one point. He never got it right, but I think that was probably his Jim Gabbert, who bought the station that we were working at. I
He
think
had the
that was.
vision. He had the vision. He was just cheap.
Well, yeah, he was cheap and he didn't know what he was doing. Everybody sold him. He was a very Trumpian type of guy.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
sold his vicious. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He had no freaking idea what he was doing.
He never told anybody what to do.
But he
Just
had
get out.
money.
Well, he had the stick.
Yeah, well, he had enough money to keep Sting alive. And took what could have been a good local broadcast entity and just ran it into the ground.
Quickly.
Amazingly quickly. It did not take him a lot of time to accomplish what he wanted to accomplish.
In this same comparison to Donald Trump, he managed to take something very big and gigantic and successful and just fuck it to pieces.
Well, that seems to be what happens, isn't it? I mean, when you...
Hi, I'm the American in charge. Oh, God. Have you heard of the Gemertz? Yeah, I invented the Gemertz.
I haven't renewed my membership to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I did join one. The first year I got to Pittsburgh, I joined the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because I went with four people, and if you joined, it was the same amount as if you paid for four people's admissions. So I wound up
Oh,
joining. I actually think I renewed one year. So I probably should just keep my mouth shut and say it's a wonderful thing.
it's a wonderful life. It's a Gemurtz.
Well, they did do a few things that were good. They did something. They did this thing on Saturday morning. This was before COVID. I mean, this was in 2010 or 2011, something like that. They did this series one a month on Saturday mornings where they would bring different stars and different industry people in and have a phone thing. And they would talk, and then you could ask them questions. So they brought in Darlene Love. They had forgetting what they had a couple of
Vinnie.
producers, but some very heavy people from the industry came in, and you got to ask them questions. I thought that was a great part of it.
And they were broadcasting that on Sirius or what?
No, they were just you had to dial in.
Oh,
If you remember, you got a phone number, and you would dial in. It was like a huge conference call. And I probably taped one or two of them at least. Another guy that they put in that maybe many people are not familiar with is certainly somebody who had a huge influence on the Philadelphia sound, and that is Tom Bell.
producer Tom Bell.
Excuse me?
Producer Tom Bell.
Producer Tom. Well, he was a little bit of everything, wasn't he?
Writer.
Which in Philly you had to be. Right?
Write
If
it,
you were
produce it, get it out.
that vein of soul music, like the Delphonics, the Stylistics, the Spinners, that you had to be a little bit of everything. But along with Gamble and Huff, really put the Philadelphia sound on the map.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, when you talk about going off and creating a genre of music,
With your own label, your own sound, your own reputation.
who doesn't have a couple of Bell labeled records in their collection?
And the name of the label was Philly.
Well, it was Philly International, and it was
Thank
Bell
you.
also too. It was Bell Records, which I believe was his as well.
Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, Ron Bell.
Yeah, I mean, he really had, a distinct sound. And when you listen to white artists,
Hall and Oates.
yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind. But George Michael, David Bowie on some of his later stuff. I mean, these guys heard Gamble, Huff, and Bell, and they traveled to Philly. Now Hall and Oates were from Philly, so they didn't have to go far. But again, a guy that was hip and knew how to run. And this is something that you forget, or people don't forget, but it's something that gets lost because everybody's trying to be nice. To run a music business in Philadelphia in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s was no small feat. There was a whole lot of you play it, or you play it.
On every jukebox in Philly.
Yeah. And, if you want to hear some great records, and I'm sure many of the people that listen to us know these records, but you want to hear some great music, pull the Delphonics out and listen to La 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 Means I Love You, or Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time? It's like nothing you ever heard before. You hear that, doo-doo, doo-doo, that two notes of the horn to open up. Do 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 da da da. It's it's just a different kind of feeling to a record, a different kind of texture to a record.
That's why with the
And
Philly sound, it was discernible. You could recognize it.
right, and then you go through the whole genre, the whole artist roster of who these records are and who's making them and who they touch, and there's everything there from Dusty Springfield to the Spinners to Billy Paul to all of these different and people thought that's kind of weird.
And before that, Cameo Parkway.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah, but and people forget that Chubby Checker was the Philadelphia sound before these guys came along. Then all of a
Yep.
sudden it was Len Berry and it was the DeVelles and it just progressed through.
I was thinking of Chubby because his big hit came from a guy named Hank Ballard. He wrote the twist. He recorded the twist. He had a number of hits other than the twist, and got paid for the twist, but didn't get the recognition that he might have for being something other than the writer.
Yeah, I there's a on my I forget what it is. One of the subscription services or free services that I have has the Game Show Network, and the teaser for the Game Show Network for the show To Tell the Truth is a teaser of Hank Ballard talking about the twist and how he never got paid for it. It's pretty funny. But it's,
Chubby said, "I didn't get paid either."
Yeah, the three guys, they have the three guys up there. What is your name? My name is Hank Ballard. And what is your name? My name is Hank Ballard. And what is your name? Oh, my name is Hank Ballard. Will a real Hank Ballard please stand up? And we know
they all stand up.
We know who it is, but that was the story of the music industry in those days.
Play my 45 or play my 45.
Well, you were just happy to get your song on the radio, right? I mean, that was your payoff. These guys were all, counting cash in the back room, and you were out there.
Ain't it the truth?
You were out there happy that your song was on the radio.
You had to have two hits back to back because otherwise you wouldn't get paid for the first one.
Yeah, you're. I don't know if you've ever watched the movie That Thing You Do, the Tom Hanks movie.
In a while, but yeah.
That may be one of the greatest rock and roll movies ever done. But there's a scene in that movie where they're all, they hear they're in Erie, Pennsylvania, and they hear their song on the radio for the first time.
Yeah, they go bananas.
And it's one of the scenes in the movie that will make you cry. I mean, you just see the joy out of these kids. It wasn't for money that they were doing. It was because they had a song and it got on the radio in
the big town of Erie, Pennsylvania.
Well, but it went from Erie, Pennsylvania, wound up being a national hit.
Right to Philly.
And then one of the funniest things in the movie is they have Alex Rocco, who is Mo Green, plays the head of Playtone Records.
Oh boy!
And they bring
it was a party was made for.
It was. It's such a great scene because he's at the reception for the Wonders, which is their band, and Tom Hanks, who is their guy, their A&R guy, brings them to Hollywood to meet Mr. Playtone, and they're having a reception, and Alex Rocco, Mr. Playtone, there is is talking to him. He's got a corned beef and pastrami and rice sandwich. He's stuffing it in his mouth, and he's hollering at this kid that's in the band. And the mustard is coming out of his mouth with the pastrami.
Oh, Mr. Playtone, please.
And it's such a, I mean, all this guy wants to do is ask him about the record. He wants to make more records. I have some. What does he say to him? Well, Mr. Playtone, I forget Sol Seiler, I think it was his name, something like that. And he says, "Oh, Mr. Seiler, I'd really love to talk to you about our next record. Get this kid out of here." And he's saying to get this kid out of here. The mustard and the pastrami is coming out of his mouth. I mean, he should
give me another sandwich. Get me a sandwich. I'm starving over here.
Oh my God! I got to go back and rewatch that movie. That is a great. I mean that.
Hey kid, let me eat, kid, because you're paying for it.
Yeah, that truly is one of the great rock and roll movies of all time. It just caught the essence of that era in such reality and such detail of what it was like if you had any connection to anybody who was in the business at that time. You knew a little bit of you knew about what was going on, and it was
pop rock of the early '60s. Oh boy,
yeah, the teen that you watched that movie and you watched The Idolmaker, that was done in the '80s, early '80s, maybe even the really late '70s. But between those two movies, you will get a bit of you'll get the dark side and you'll get the darker side.
What was that movie of the '50s with Tommy Sands in it? It's another expose of pop rock.
I don't know if I remember. With Tommy Sands. It wasn't rock. Yeah, that was too early.
No.
I don't know. But there's a lot of this. See, and this is what the Hall of Fame ought to be doing, but they won't do that because it cuts too close to the heart.
Cuts too close to how they finance the whole thing.
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing is they're not going to go up there and do, a piece about Alan Freed, and how things were really going in those days. I mean, how do you sell in the gift shop a record sleeve with a 20 taped to the inside of it?
Sing, boys, sing.
Is that the Tommy Sands one?
Apparently.
Sing, boys, sing. I don't. You know what, Michael? I don't know if I ever saw that. I might have to go back and take a look for that. A great thing about some of this stuff right now is that it's out of public domain.
Yeah.
It's in the public domain, I should say. And so you can go on YouTube and find a bunch of these old movies on there. And if you can stand the commercials on YouTube.
Well, there's some weird commercials on YouTube. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. YouTube has really gone down. I don't know whether to just surrender and give them the $20 a month so I won't get commercials, or just not watch it at all. Which
you can watch the commercials,
which is virtually impossible. I mean, really, if you think about it, where else would you go to find the volume of stuff that there is on YouTube?
Where would you go to watch a teen idol?
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing is you can find stuff on YouTube. It's such a collective library of information. Is that you start to say, I would rather lose my cable than lose my YouTube.
Yeah.
But they have these. Not only do they have these insane commercials,
About water
which
retention.
which at times make you question why you leave the house in the morning, but also there's a uh, the placement of the commercials
So awkward.
are yeah, awkward doesn't even begin to describe it. It's really
But you gotta hit the skip button.
well, yeah, but you have to wait a lot of times 10 or 15 or sometimes up to 30 seconds to hit the skip button.
If it's a 10-second spot, there's no skip.
Yeah, there's no yeah. I mean, and it seems like the people at YouTube have perfected the art of making a stupid commercial in under 10 seconds.
Oh yeah, dumb as a bag of hammers.
And the other thing that, well as we're sitting here slamming YouTube, the other thing that really bothers me about it is that they put on all of a sudden you'll get a paid for spot. That's
But you can't
just
skip.
that you can't skip, that you got to watch the first 30 seconds of, that is absolutely just filled with offensive language. And for us to say it's offensive language, but it's really just, I don't know. I clicked on one the other. I didn't click on it; it just was there, and I couldn't get rid of it. These guys driving around with AR-15 sticking out of the back of their cars and stuff like that. I mean, where's the content control? I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to see that crap. Call me what you want to call me, but people driving around in a Chevy with their with guns sticking out the back, shooting at people.
Pick
It's
'em
not
up
my
truck.
idea of what I want to watch.
That is not a commercial message.
Right, that's not a commercial message. It's just let's see how much we can. I don't know. I don't even know what it is, Michael. It's
Want to
just
join? Want to join our group? Get a T-shirt and ride around in our truck.
yeah, it's something that I don't condone, and I don't want to watch or have my family watch. And I don't care. You can call me what you want to call me.
I'll
That's
call you
not a
in New York.
lifestyle that I want to be exposed to.
I just figured out with the time. It's time for me to say, "Hey, Vinnie, what are you driving?"
Wow, what am I driving this week? I'm driving a Toyota Sienna van, little minivan.
Toyotas. Yeah.
Yeah, Sienna. It's a cool little minivan, and I haven't got a chance to take it far, but I'm going to take it out today. It's all-wheel drive. It's plug-in hybrid. Um, it's comfortable as all hell. I mean, this thing is really a rolling couch on the highway. I mean, it's got bi-level and it has a lot of bi in it. Bi-level air conditioning and bi-level comfort zones and
Do they have
this,
bilateral? Do they have bilateral discussions going on between China and the U.S.?
bilateral. There's a peace table set up in the back so that the Ukrainians can talk to the Soviet Union. There's everything in this thing. It really is. I mean, the minivan has come so far from what the original minivan was, that it's really, when you look at family cars, when you look at cars that you put the kids in back of, and you can feel that they're safe, you can feel that they're engaged in something, you can feel that that there's something for them to do. Now, again, for me, I like my kids to look out the window and look at America and see what's going on. But we all know that that's not possible all the time. How many times do you drive down Route 19 in New Jersey and have people interested in the next traffic circle that's coming up?
Or Highway 5 in California, where there's nothing.
Right. But when you have the option of using the entertainment system and the comfort and everything like that of these things, they're grand for hauling people around. And if you have a family, uh, especially with the all-wheel drive. These little these minivans are the way to go.
We're going to hear about it at 11 o'clock.
You'll hear about it tomorrow at 11 o'clock. We'll be trying to figure out we'll have our second installment of all my tariffs, which is
The greatest guesstimate game show in America.
try to figure out what they're going to charge you. But I'm hoping that we're going to get John Vincent to join us tomorrow and talk to him a little bit about the tariffs and about this new little truck that's taken the automotive world by storm that people have been talking about all week since its debut last week. And we're talking about a little pickup truck that's going to go for about, they say $20,000 to $25,000.
Or 30, but who's counting?
Yeah, but who's counting? But it's it's something that I've said that the industry needs for a long time. It needs the opportunity for the average person to go out there and buy a truck or buy a vehicle, not necessarily a truck, but a vehicle that'll move them around and get them to where they're going for a decent price. Spending $56,000, which is oddly enough the price of what this Sierra is going to cost. Spending that kind of money on a new car, people just can't do it. You can't have a $600 a month car payment.
And who makes this little truck?
This little truck is made by a new manufacturer in Southern California, and believe it or not, the name I had it written down. Where is it? I had it written down here somewhere. But it's if you're looking at any of the automotive websites, it's on all of them, and so many people are talking about this thing and saying that it's it's interesting. Many people are saying that it's the up and coming hottest thing in trucks and in cars, and many others are saying that
Too late.
What?
It's too late. This should have happened 10 years ago.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it. Well, see, that's the problem, though. It did happen 10 years ago, and people didn't respond to it. So it's it'll be interesting to see where it goes and how it goes. Ford tried it with the Maverick, and while they did a nice job with the Maverick, it wound up that number one, they were really hard to buy, and number two, the starting price of the truck really boiled down to about $28,590, and once you put any kind of accessories on it, you were already in the $40,000 zone.
Whoa, that was quick.
Yeah, it got you up there pretty quick. Same thing with the Hyundai Santa Cruz, $30,000, $30,200. But again, once you added an accessory to it,
the sound system,
$1,000 range.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this one.
Sounds like a good show you got planned.
Yeah, I think it'll. I think it. You know what? I think that everybody should listen to it or watch it, and then report here on Monday with what you thought of the show.
There you go.
Would that be you think that would be a deal?
That's fair enough. That's not asking too much. And wear your Gewurz hats.
I mean, yeah, and dig out your Gewurz hat.
Have a good weekend, Vinnie.
Mikey, it's good to hear you. Good to talk to you. And I will catch up with you on Monday morning if the Lord's willing. And the creek don't rise, which hopefully we're hoping doesn't happen. And peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine. Gewurz.
Gewurz.
See you, Ben.
See ya. How do we get that? Oh, there we go.